A warm welcome to all my lovely audience. Today on Icy Tales, we're going to be having discussions on mental health because that is a very, very invisible issue. Join me in welcoming Dr. Rashi Agarwal, a psychiatrist. So, welcome, ma'am. How are you and how does it feel to be here?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that the conversation about mental health is like going places and reaching a number of people via obviously your medium and other people who are going to see and share it forward.
Yes, and I'm really excited to see all that happen. So let's get started by knowing each other. So when I was seeing your profile, I noticed that you are from a family of doctors. So was this thought of being a doctor always there in you, and how did all this begin?
Yeah, so we know that in society there is this kind of feeling that yeah, if you come from a family of doctors, this is how it usually goes. So I speak for myself that there was no pressure that you had to be in this particular field.
Mhm.
I was good in studies, so naturally they thought, okay, now do whatever you feel like. So it kind of took its own course.
Right.
But there was no specific pressurization to take up medical. There were instead, I would say, speculations that you should not do this rather, and you could pursue something else.
Correct. So that was your entire story behind choosing this profession, and I'm happy that you are happy in this profession. So great job on that. And also speaking that you are a doctor, why did you choose to specialize in psychiatry?
Okay, so ask any medical professional, like a number of people, and they would tell you that this is not a very sought out branch. People usually do not take up psychiatry as a first choice, and whenever even you tell people that you are a psychiatrist, they're like, "Oh, what did you actually want?" So that was not the case with me. It is a very well thought of decision. Like I had this whole copy with pros and cons written all over it with regarding a number of things. So I gradually narrowed it down that I wanted to do something first of all different. I did not want to go in a conventional field. Secondly, I wanted to do a medicinal branch rather than a surgical one. And then it like kept on narrowing it down, and then I was like, yeah, so this is something I want to do. I would not say that I was very, very like I get these queries from very young medical students that I want to do psychiatry. So it was not like that with me. It gradually fell into place, and I have just come to love this like immensely. I say this on a daily basis. I live and breathe psychiatry.
Ooh, nice to see you do is having all this positivity inside you. So let's dig in deeper into mental health and psychiatry. So, in your opinion, what is the importance of mental health in this world?
First and foremost, I would say that just because something is not visible on the outside does not mean it does not require any kind of intervention, which is I think, the main stigma that we are fighting over because it is an invisible issue. Rather, it is not that invisible just because a person does not express it that much. We just say that it's invisible. Otherwise, n number of psychiatric disorders or mental health disorders, they're very much uh, like on face also. You can figure out that something somewhere is going wrong, but not as prominently as in physical illnesses. So yes, it is something that needs to be talked about more and more, which needs a lot of mention because, as I said, the stigma is there. Until we break this stigma, we are not able to get the right help to the right people.
Right.
So there is treatment, management, cure for so many things, but until the person comes to you, you cannot go inside people's homes and force them to get better.
Yes.
So hence we are working on that to normalize it, because until unless it's normalized, it's very difficult to break it from the starting point. And as in everything, prevention is obviously better than cure. And the earlier we catch things, the better and easier management it is for the future.
Right. So let's break that down further. Why do you think people get into negative thoughts and why do they get demotivated, in your opinion?
Ranging from, like, say, personality type. So we all are very different people. Even the twins do not behave in the same manner. So we, each and every one of us is a very unique being. Depends on how my personality is, what has been my genetic makeup, like what I have inherited from my parents, grandparents, what environment I have been living in. So there are so many factors that come into place to make you who you are today.
Yes.
Now, depending on all of these factors, depending on the experiences that I've had, depending on whatever things in life I am going through on a day-to-day basis, this influences my thinking and behavior.
Right.
So it's, but generally, if a person is more troubled or they have had negative experiences in childhood or in the past, they are more drawn towards negative thoughts. It is not wrong to have negative thoughts. All of us do on a day-to-day basis. It's very common. The problem arises when I'm drowning in negative thoughts to the point that it is affecting my day-to-day living, that it is affecting my personal relationships, that it's affecting my hope for the future or the capacity with which I can work, the capacity with which I can show productivity. So it's okay to have negative thoughts. We all have them. It's not like we're trying to eliminate negative thoughts, but I should know where to draw the line.
Yes. I think that is very important to know that it's okay to not be okay. I think you highlighted that point really well. So great job on that. And let me move to my favorite question among all the questions that you saw. No, ma'am, I was seeing your Instagram profile. There was so much limelight and spotlight on it because your videos were just so honest and pure. So what gave you this idea to document all of these things, and what's the exact story behind all this?
Okay, so as most of, I would say, doctor creators, I started doing this during COVID because there were, when I was working in COVID wards and I was working on a day-to-day basis, I realized that the patterns of question were similar and the answers were not present. So I started before reels were a thing. So initially I started doing this via medium of posts and stories. Now that, like, every day I was feeling that I'm just repeating the same thing to people, so I felt that there was need for this information to go on a broader basis. Hence, as like, okay, so I would say like 3 years back it was not that big a deal as it is today to pick up your phone, and it was not that prevalent that everybody was doing that. So I just started doing it for that particular reason, that even if one person is benefited out of one video, the work was done there, because there was so much apprehension during COVID and people had so many queries, and we all know we were in a panicky state and there were no answers. So just to put out the right information, and plus on in addition to that, it was COVID and then mental health, because a lot of people stopped their medications when they got COVID, and whether to get the vaccine or not. So it was a mix of things, because we realized, as we just talked about, that mental health, as it is so stigmatized, and you add anything to it, it just becomes a bigger issue.
Yes. Really great job on all those videos, ma'am. I enjoyed watching them. Moving on to the stigma part which you spoke, there's this common thing that all of us do when we see someone is going through a mental illness. We often say he or she is mad, he's crazy. So how would you like to raise awareness on this, and what is your opinion?
I would say that with time also, I have grown to uh, like have a different perspective to it. If as somebody would have asked this question to me 2 3 years back, when I started working both online offline, maybe 5 years back, I was very anti this word about madness, crazy, and lot of these things, and specifically their local dialects also, like in Hindi we say pagal. um, it is obviously stigmatizing. This stops people from seeking the right help. And this is somewhere rooted deep down from history and culture, that there were specific areas in this city that were made for people with XYZ illnesses. Like, I'm not just talking about mental health, there were lepers whom where people with leprosy were kept. So specifically, the society was divided into this kind of thing, and hence this stigma comes from it. You could see so many shows which are a little bit dated by 1950s, 60s. You would see that there how a mental asylum is projected a picture. So hence this has come from there. But with time, I have come to realize that the word is not that bad. I'm saying a very controversial thing here. This has come after so many conversation and discussion with peers and fellows, that if it is okay for a diabetic person to say that I'm diabetic,
Okay.
in English it's okay we are saying crazy. In Hindi, what will I say if I am not aware of the issue? I mean, what do I have to express that I have a mental health illness? I do not expect a person hailing from a village coming and saying I have a mental health issue. They very commonly say मुझे दिमाग की बीमारी है, or they very very easily, it is easy to point out ये पागल है तो इसे treatment की जरूरत है. I am not saying it is justified, but if them pointing it out and identifying that brings the person to the right professional for help, I am okay.
Right.
Obviously, I would say me, or with time, the people around me have literally gone scared to use any kind of words around me, and I make a point that whatever I'm preaching online, I'm also applying it offline around my friends and family. So yes, change is coming, but I would not. I do not think it is possible to shun such words completely.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
let's keep the word and remove the stigma from the word.
Right. So you are being the change that you want to see, and it's very nice to see that you're advocating such good things. Great job on that, ma'am. And let's move on to another great achievement of yours. I noticed that you won the gold medal in medicine in the 2015. Congratulations on that. Because you won such a big laurel, what exactly gives you the power to keep going on?
Okay, so as I said, I was good in studies. So I during my med school, I fell in love with medicine. Like I literally was that person who was walking with books. So I have been at that stage also in my life. Again, as I said, who you are as a person today depends on what genetics you carry, what kind of environment you come from, and what life experiences you're taking forward. So let's not go into that XYZ reasons, but I became that person who was literally breathing and studying. That's all I used to do. So I really fell in love with the subject, and I thought this is what I would be doing my post graduation in, my specialization in. Not never to the point, or never that was my goal to come first or get a gold medal. This just happened. When you fell in love with a subject, when you read it deeply, and when you have a genuine understanding of it, I think you score well. Mm-hmm. And again, it was a shock to me. I was not expecting to do. I was a good student. I was never the topper. I always used to come third, fourth, so I did not imagine coming first and getting such things. Mm-hmm. And to my surprise, the next day it was announced that I received a gold medal in obs and gynae also. And I was like, okay. This was my favorite subject, medicine, and my least favorite subject. How am I doing this? So I think this is the core understanding of the subject. I say this to med students every day. If you do not understand the basics, it's very difficult for you to move forward. Med school is tough, 19 subjects, and you have to know them through and through. Mm. Until you really love it or you have a deep understanding, it's very difficult to move forward.
Congratulations on that, ma'am. I was really happy to see that list of amazing awards that you won, and I hope you have more awards to come in your name. All the very best for that.
Thank you so much. And literally, I had forgotten about it until you asked, because see, every day you project new goals for yourself. Every day you feel, okay, what next? What better can I do? So the best part is whatever you are achieving, achieve it, be happy about it, and keep it aside.
Right. So you spoke about goals. My next question is in fact about goals. So I noticed in your vision, you had written something that you want to reach rural areas and spread awareness by organizing free camps and all that. How do you plan on achieving this, and what is your vision exactly?
So as I said, I am very, the more I talk to people, the more I realize, and I say this statement I have said this in so many places, I love working in rural areas. I do not know why it sounds weird. I have worked in a very urban setups also, but the simplicity, the ease of work, and the joy of seeing patients get better, I do not feel I get it elsewhere. So I have been throughout trying, which now I stopped due to my mental health coming in the way. Every Sunday I used to have free camps in rural areas, which used to have like on a minimal fee, 10 rupees, 5 rupees as for registration, or either free camps, in which so many like students, we used to establish them near schools. or in your colleges so that more people would come. I have seen that how quickly people get better there.
Right.
Like we are going to the root cause and we are catching things before they become big. And
Right.
because they are free, more people are drawn towards them and they get themselves. So even if I am seeing 100 or 150 people on one camp basis, it's easy to filter out who need a long-term treatment and who would get better in few visits only. So
Right.
at least we are filtering out, we are spreading that knowledge that see this is manageable and you don't need to live with this. Um, I am really planning to structure it out so that it is feasible with my other lifestyle and work also. So now I have planned some way that in every 1 month or 2 months, so we have this awareness camp where we also teach. So I just had this for OCD. So we spread the news far and wide about OCD and people who were taking treatment. So I had this whole seminar where I taught about the illness also. Like what is OCD? How can you manage it? We did group therapy sessions also. Plus, one thing that motivated me to do that was people with OCD or like any mental health issue, they feel I am the only one who's having this because of the stigma. People don't share this. So when there were so many people sitting in the room and I see females, they were talking to each other like, okay, are you also washing hands? Oh, I am also washing. So, okay, is this normal? So a lot of their apprehension and worry was just taken away at that point only when they realized. And after that session also, a lot of them came back and said that I'm really relieved that I'm not the only one who's doing this.
Right.
So somewhere we are trying to have a automated system or somewhere with featuring fix that at least once a month we plan to do this camp, but along with awareness. So that even if anybody's like a relative is also having, they can just bring them here, they can learn and see about the illness, so at least they can realize, okay, I have some of these symptoms. I think I need help. Many times in families, a lot of things are just shunned or suppressed and taken as normal.
Yeah, right. Ma'am, they say that doctors indeed are very noble human beings, and your entire vision just proved that doctors indeed are very, very noble human beings. So I'm happy that you chose such a noble profession and you want to work towards the public. And on behalf of my entire team, I would like to wish you all the best for your vision, and we hope that all your goals are achieved because this is indeed for a noble cause. So all the very best for that, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. It is really great when mental health is pushed in all the sectors. Even if you're seeing one show on Netflix or Prime talk about it, I think that is big deal because it spreads the message on a larger mass level.
Yes.
Thank you so much for organizing and having me. I hope you have a really great